That moves us into our next story of the day regarding Florida Governor Ron DeSantis giving his opinion and his take on kind of what happened in the midterms and why there wasn't a red wave. If you haven't already, folks, hit that like and subscribe button. And we're doing a little campaign here of helping and supporting the show by leaving us a comment down below, again, and hitting that like button. It does yeoman's work in supporting us. We would really love your help here. So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said during a press conference Thursday that Republicans underperformed in the 2022 midterms because they did not focus on delivering for voters. And I think there's a lot of truth to what he has to say here. The audio is kind of shoddy, but I think it's good enough for you to hear. And if we're missing anything, I'll make sure I kind of fill in the pockets. Let's go ahead and roll it.
I'm not going to ask you if you're running for president. You've probably heard that one a couple times already. You certainly have your pulse on national politics. And given the rumors that are swirling, I'm curious, what is your take on Mr. Trump being back in the news every day? And what is your take? You enjoy a healthy Republican Party in Florida, but nationally the Republican Party is divided. So can you elaborate for us on those two specific items, national Republican politics, and your take on Mr. Trump being on the news every day?
Well, look,
He is your resident, by the way.
we understand, but I also got 22 million others, and we got to look out for everybody. And so we're focusing on getting things done, doing our job, and that's what we're going to continue to do. I think the election, it was interesting. You know, we knew we were going to do well because we worked hard. You know, we delivered a good message. We had a lot of enthusiasm, and we saw it not just in places like Miami-Dade, which, you know, was historic, but place like Palm Beach, which is even more historic. I mean, it's been almost 40 years since a Republican governor candidate has been able to carry that county. And so you see that. And, of course, we had a lot of great people running in the legislature and the Senate, and those have been big, big majorities. And so we knew it. We saw it on even just the early vote came in.
I would like to point out, I mean, that really did contribute to a lot of Ron DeSantis' success, is the fact that the legislator was red. And so you could really push through a lot of your agenda when you have that. And so he really capitalized on that and pushed through a lot of stuff and really spoke up for parents. He spoke up for the citizens. He spoke up to his constituents and spoke for them and really did a great job. Doesn't always flow through in other states when you have a mixed, fractured state, meaning the governor might be Democrat, but the legislature is red, or vice versa. It's a little bit harder to push things through. We've seen that in California before, where you have a governor that's Republican, but your legislature is Democrat. You don't really get much done, and things just kind of stay the same. And then, you know, you got Democrats run the show and they just run into the ground. You got Republicans run the show. Things are looking good. So just wanted to point that out based on what he said.
We're winning Dade going away. And so they call the race. We see good stuff. It gets into 9 o'clock. You know, I give the speech and I go back afterwards. And some of my folks were like, Governor, this is not a red wave. I was like, what are you talking about? This is not a red wave. This is a 20-point. When have we ever seen that? No. Florida is a big win. But the rest of the country, we are not seeing really good performance from a lot of these Republicans. They're like, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to win the Senate. The House is going to be very close. You know, we assumed we were going to end up with like 245 House members. We're at 222, it looks like.
I think there's some truth with the House, but remember early on, for those frequent Ball Bradshaw listeners and viewers, we did talk about 3 different polls. There was a poll early on, I'm talking way early on, that did talk about a red wave, and we were talking in terms of like a red tsunami. And then a few months went by, and there was another poll that was conducted that showed more of a realistic viewpoint of what actually turned out to happen, where maybe we'll get the Senate, we'll see, we'll definitely get a few House seats. It's not going to be a red wave. And we did do an episode on the Ball Bradshaw and actually talked about that. I said, look, guys, it's kind of sketchy. It's kind of scary with what's going on now. And then we saw another poll about a month or two after that, which was the most recent one, that said, hey, there's a red wave coming. This is what we were expected to see. So it was that middle poll of which that was conducted that was really utilized to see, hey, this is more realistic of what's going to take place. And that's what we saw.
Which is a huge underperformance. And so, you know, the question is, you know, why did that happen? Because the way these midterms work, someone gets elected to the White House and then there's a reaction the other way. That's what happens almost every 2 years. And especially when people are pessimistic about the direction of the country, have a negative view on Biden, usually those voters are going to want to vote for people that are offering an alternative. And yet some of those voters throughout the country, not in Florida, but throughout the country, even though they disapproved of Biden, even though they disapproved of the direction of the country, they still didn't want to vote, for some of our candidates. So I don't think it's a question necessarily being divided as a party. I think it's like, okay, how do you run and win majorities? And I think what we've done in Florida is we've shown that we've exercised leadership. We've not kowtowed. We've been willing to take on big interests just look at the environment, what we did coming in. Look at what we've done with some of these other things, but producing results. And then that ends up attracting more people to want to be on your team. And so that was not something that was happening, throughout the rest of the country. But I think that we really showed, how it's done in the state of Florida. And if you look about, how we performed, no governor Republican has ever gotten a higher percentage of the vote in Florida history than we got in 2022. So
I appreciate Ron DeSantis taking the moment here and kind of capitalizing on the spotlight for the work that not only he has done, but also just Florida in general, as well as the politicians and the legislature that's been there. I think it's a good job of him to actually highlight that. But I don't fully agree with him because the things that take place in Florida is different for new governors or new House of Representative candidates running in their state, because some of them don't have the opportunity to have that prior history of doing good things in conjunction with their legislature to push through for their state. And quite frankly, the Republican Party also nominated and put in place people that just frankly weren't good candidates. I mean, look at Pennsylvania. Oz and Fetterman, they literally voted for a guy that had a stroke that couldn't actually understand questions nor could talk correctly. Granted, we saw that with Biden too. I mean, look at guy can't even read a teleprompter, fumbles through his words, gets lost all the time, falls up a flight of stairs 3 times. I mean, we can go on and on about Joe Biden here. So I agree with parts of what Ron DeSantis is saying, but at the same time, I don't in the sense of trying to utilize the method of what we saw in Florida with other states. I don't think that is a great comparison. It is a rough analogy to use, and rough analogies are fine, but I do agree with majority of what he said here. It also just has to do with our candidates. Our candidates kind of sucked. I think Kerry Lake should have won in Arizona. Something's going on there. So again, even that analogy that I gave doesn't flow through consecutively. I think there's a lot of problems with the Republican Party, and I think, quite frankly, it just goes to show you guys that 2024 ain't in the pocketbook, all right? If Trump runs, honestly, I think Trump's going to lose. I want to know what you think in the comments below. If there's a Trump-Biden ticket, Trump v. Biden, do you think Trump's really going to win? I personally, based on what we saw in the midterms, say no. Look at everything that's going on. Look at the way Joe Biden's running this country into the ground, and Democrats still did well in the Senate, and they still did pretty well in the House as well. So I don't know. It ain't looking good. You probably want to look more for a DeSantis v. Biden ticket or DeSantis v. anybody else, because right now in the polls, DeSantis is beating Trump. Even among Trump supporters are more inclined to vote for DeSantis than they are Trump, put it that way. And quite frankly, I'm kind of in that boat myself. I think of DeSantis as Trump 2.0. I love Trump, you guys. Don't come at me. I'm a Trump supporter, all right? I voted for the guy twice. If he runs again, obviously it's a shoo and vote for me. But what I'm saying is that there's people that are upgraded. There are people that are, in my opinion, better than Trump. And I think DeSantis is one of them. I think you just got a better version of Trump here. He doesn't put up with the media's crap. He doesn't put up with the left's crap. He pushes back. He pushes back in a way that actually is more presentable as a president than maybe Trump did, even though, again, I like Trump's New Yorkerness. I like how he goes after people. It's from China. It's not xenophobic. It's not racist from China. I love it. But I'm just saying, for a president, I think Ron has the spotlight right now, and I think he should shine. I think Trump had his moment. I think he did necessary things for us here. I think he did a lot of good, a lot of great things. I think he did some things that were bad as well. But for the most part, I think he's a net positive. Or I think Ron DeSantis is a net positive as well. But I want to know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with Ron DeSantis? And also, don't forget, let me know the Trump v. Biden ticket on who you think is going to win. Again, my opinion is Trump would lose that ticket. But let me know down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.